So then after the Dominican, you got called up here to Arlington, Texas. This is your fourth year?
So, yeah, my first year was in 2015, and I spent probably 8 or 9 years in the minor league system doing different things from field coordinator. I managed 1 year in Arizona rookie ball. I was an outfield coordinator, hitting coordinator. I've done several different roles. And then first year coaching in the major leagues, 2015-16. And then in 17 and 18, I moved to the front office to be the assistant GM to oversee the minor league side. And so the last couple years was a very good experience being on the front office side. I've learned a lot. But what I found is I find myself more as a coach. I like being around young people. I've been energized. So this year I moved back to a major league coach. And so far I'm having just an absolute blast with it. I'm learning, I'm growing a lot. I've challenged myself in several different areas to grow. And so I'm really enjoying it, even though we're only 16, 17 games through the season.
Yeah. Well, last night was a fun game to watch.
Yeah, so we were hoping we were going to get the rain in. For people who don't know, we were supposed to have golf ball size hail at about game time. So we didn't think we were going to play, but the storm held off and we ended up winning 5-4. And we start the year 10-7, and we're off to a pretty good start with a group of we've got some young players on the team that we're hoping can take a step in their development, and if they continue to do that, we got a chance to be a pretty good ball club.
Yeah, that's good. So baseball has always been your passion. I mean that as a question, but you were quite an athlete in numerous sports growing up. Tell us a little bit about your basketball career.
Yeah, so as we talked earlier, both parents are coaches. Mom was a basketball coach for, I think it was 30 years at Smithville. Dad coached basketball at West Platte, which is where he started before he came to Smithville. And so I grew up in a gym. Didn't have a lot of babysitters growing up, so when mom had basketball practice or dad had basketball practice, that's usually where I was. So kind of grew up in a gym. Played a lot of basketball. We had some pretty good teams in high school. I had maybe a little bit of opportunity to play at the college level, and kind of going around to different colleges or whatever, I started to notice I was kind of the only 5'8" Caucasian guy. And I was like, you know what, I think I'm pretty limited here. And that's when I kind of maybe invested a little bit more in baseball, maybe understood that if I wanted to stay around the game a little bit longer, baseball was probably the avenue to go to.
Yeah. So just to tell you listeners a little bit, so Jayce and I were kind of on opposite timelines in high school. Of course, I wrestled and you played basketball. And then in the fall, I was playing football and you were doing fall baseball a lot, I think, right, when we were growing up. And then in the spring, of course, you were playing baseball. And in springtime, my high school career and even younger felt like I was in a gym and wrestling pretty much all winter. I was in a building that seemed like all winter long, right? Just like you guys playing basketball. And then when springtime came, I was gone. I was outside. I was riding horses. I was out doing my thing all the time. So I got to watch you play baseball a little bit, but really not that much. I know I watched you play basketball quite a lot. And Jayce is being pretty modest on saying that they had some good teams and that they did pretty good. But, I mean, he was one of the best basketball players in the state of Missouri and probably other places as well. And I remember my freshman, sophomore year, I was at Northeastern Oklahoma A&M in college, and you would have been 2 years ahead of me, and you were at Mizzou playing baseball. And I remember watching the Mizzou basketball team and thinking, Jayce is better than that guy. Why didn't he go play basketball also? And Missouri could have a little better chance at winning some games. We had Wesley Stokes playing and some of those guys. And anyway, I remember thinking, was there some thought at that time to maybe play some basketball in college as well?
It kind of gone through my head a little bit, especially when Wesley Stokes went out with a knee injury and things like that. And I think the reality was I was probably 2 years kind of removed from playing a lot of basketball. We did some pickup games, and we would run at the rec center with a couple of the basketball players on the team. I think the reality was being 2 years removed, I was probably a little bit too far behind to jump in. At the time, it was the Big 12 and try to compete there. I was struggling enough to keep my head above water on the baseball field. So it probably ended up was the right decision to stay with baseball overall.
Yeah, overall. Well, I know it was a lot of fun. Of course, you and Gabe and Ryan and Cameron and Randy and Jeff and some of those guys growing up playing. And it seemed like there was just the next generation of all the little brothers of most of those guys I just named were all on my team. And so it was definitely a lot of fun. It's great to see somebody like you that we all grew up playing together with, and then here we are at the Texas Rangers Stadium checking out, which, by the way, if you didn't catch that, I'll probably put it in the intro later, but we're recording this here in the coach's office at the Texas Rangers Stadium, so that's really cool.
Yeah, we picked a great day. We've got the off day, so nobody comes in, so we've got the place to ourselves. We can kind of do whatever we want.
It's usually the one day he doesn't come here probably, and I'm like, hey, you want to do it there? He's like, sure.